YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and we're going to see a battle today on the Red Desert between Anarion, leading the Lizardmen, and Erwin Rommel's Wet Dream, leading the Vampire Counts. Oh boy. Anyway, the Vampire Counts are going to be led by the Strigoi Vampire Lord, I should say. It's not the Ghoul King, but he is on his Terrorgeist. Which is going to be good. It's an anti-large tool. You would expect to see a lot of anti-large against the Lizardmen potentially, since they can bring a lot of dinos. However, it's really not what we see. We see Strigoi having his anti-large capability, but he's supported by Varrock's Reavers and 2 Black Knights, none of which are specifically anti-large, nor are any of the infantry brought. So a rather gutsy and potentially risky call, in my opinion, from the Vampires. His front line is led by zombies, and he's got a couple of Graveguard with great weapons in the back, 2 Banshees supporting the infantry. Banshees can cause terror and be pretty useful. Claw of Nagash, who can suck the life out of units if it can stay alive. However, that can be tricky too, depending on what you're coming up against. But you know, if it can stay till late game, it's very powerful. A couple of corpse carts to support the melee as well. As for the lizards, they have a front line of Saurus warriors. There are some Saurus spears, and we also have the Star Chamber Guardians, a life slan here to support the set piece of the army, which is the Shredder of Lustria. And boy, aren't the vampires going to have a field day with this. They would already have a fairly difficult time with the Shredder, unless they had really good anti-large units, which for the vampires, best anti-large units, probably Terrorgeist. A whole lot of skeleton spears, which I wouldn't say are great, but be helpful. And then, of course, Blood Knights, going to be your best anti-large, though they don't pierce armor. However, Blood Knights can be quite effective against large targets if they're able to get in and stay in combat. The Shredder of Lustria, though, only being threatened by the Strigoi, and to be honest, if the Strigoi comes and fights the Shredder, it's going to be a pretty tough fight, because the Shredder's got a lot of hit points and a lot of weapon damage. Not to mention the poison missiles that it'll be shooting. Star Chamber Guardians are going to be a real mess for the vampires to get rid of too. They are a very powerful unit, decent armor. And outside of the Graveguard with great weapons, nothing the vampires have is really going to do much. And here's what Slan are good at, which is crowd control. They are also very good at being singled out and killed, and the Lizardmen will have to continue to keep their Slan near protection. But they are good at crowd control and buffing units, keeping them alive. The Shredder of Lustria, with all the healing that can come from a life slan, will be a very difficult target indeed. See here the vampires hoping to get a rear charge, but not going to happen. Varrock's Reavers are met headlong by the Star Chamber Guardians, who maybe should have braced, but regardless, they are going to shred the Varrock's Reavers. Star Chamber Guardians, probably not one of the most impressive regiments renowned out there, but when it comes to anti-large duties, they are quite good. They are quite good at what they do. Saurus Spears are also going to be doing well against the Black Knights. May not be armor-piercing, but they'll pack quite a punch. The Mortis Engine, though, not able to be challenged by the Salamander Hunting Pack, and the Salamander Hunting Pack would be quite good against the Claw of Nagash, because it is weak to fire. So if that Salamander Hunting Pack can get some shots in here, do a lot of damage. But right now it's being pressured by summons. And you can see the Crypt Ghouls got summoned there, and we're going to see the Strigoi Vampire Lord come down and try and help terrorize the Saurus Warriors. Probably not a bad idea. It's possible to get a terror route on them, try and break up some of the line. The Corpse Carts are busy supporting, and there's just not enough meat to support in this Vampire Infantry arm here. So the Corpse Carts are going to have little effect when you're just buffing the zombies, which are just going to be absolute fodder for the Lizardmen. And really, what I wanted to see in this one, whenever the replay was sent to me, it said the Shredder versus Vampires. I was like, ooh, I want to see that. The Shredder is typically a very, very risky unit to bring to any battle, as it can be very easily decimated by armor-piercing missile fire or anti-large monsters and stuff like that. But the Shredder up against Vampires is certainly an interesting matchup, and I was curious to see how the Vampires reacted. And when I saw that Strigoi I don't think was a bad pick. But then not seeing another Terrorgeist, like if I was facing Lizardmen, I'm probably going double Terrorgeist. And Vargeist are armor-piercing these days. They can be handy for a quick charge. Crypt Horrors can be decent for helping an army stand up longer, and are a pretty cheap alternative to trying to use a lot of Graveguard with great weapons. I say cheap, they're roughly the same cost, but you know, they can support chaff pretty well. Skeleton Spears, you know, again, I would expect those to be picked here. Look at this, vampires get hit with another banishment. Yeah, this Shredder is just going to be unstoppable for the vampires at this point. It has gotten 136 kills, and it's not done yet. Claw of Nagash still alive, which this does bode well for the vampires, because every second it is here, there are lizard men dying as a result. And especially this real expensive Star Chamber Guardian unit. Any moment that the Claw of Nagash is getting damage done on it, it is a moment that's well worth it for the Claw of Nagash. However, at this point, that Claw of Nagash really needs to be careful about where it's stuck in fights. Not that it has a lot of choice. There's only so many zombies left to help protect it. And it needs to be in combat, because this isn't your version 1.0 Mortis engine, where you can just stay nearby a unit and kill it. You actually have to be in melee. So that is going to be a challenge indeed. See that Claw of Nagash is attempting to be in melee, and as it is, again, slowly draining the life, but now it got hit by the Salamander Hunting Pack, and then the Life Slam is going to come in and attempt to finish. He does have magic damage, and it works. The Life Slam coming in, not just being a big boy in a chair, but coming in and impacting the battle. Strigoi is very healthy, he's in good shape here, but he's got no chaff left, and he himself would still probably have a difficult time getting rid of the Shredder, who's being continually healed. It's gotten a lot of healing in this battle. We take a look here. Yeah, it's used up almost 4,000 of its regeneratable hit points, so it has gotten some significant heals here, and it already has like almost 12,000 hit points to begin with, so definitely something that the vampires probably came a little bit ill-equipped for. But anyway, a fun matchup here. I thought this was a fun way to call out the Shredder. It may have a lot of weaknesses, but whether you're playing campaign or multiplayer, probably a pretty fun use would be against the vampire counts, because they just don't have the missiles to deal with it. Can they still deal with it? Yes. But it's always been kind of fun, I think, as a player to toy with the vampires by bringing single entity heavy armies, because that is truly a big weakness of the vampires. Again, it's not impossible for them to win these fights, but it is difficult. And if you're playing campaign and you're up against vampires, obviously a unit like the Shredder Illustria is going to absolutely own against a faction like the vampires. So thought you all might enjoy this, kind of know a little bit about where to use that unit, how to use that unit. Thought this would be fun. Strigoi Vampire Lord is a cool unit. I love Salamander Hunting Packs as well. This is such a fun unit in the game. I try and use them anytime I'm playing a Lizardman campaign, even though they can be a little difficult to use sometimes. I don't know, what's just very satisfying seeing them vomit these fireballs around. Same thing with the Ancient Salamander. I don't know why they're such a favorite unit of mine, but they really are. I even try really hard to use the Razordon Hunting Packs too, just for fun. I find them entertaining. So here we go. We're going to see the Strigoi Vampire Lord going down here, crumbling as his magic falters, and a victory for the Lizard Boys and the Shredder of Lustria. That we don't see too often. 200 kills in that battle. Pretty impressive. So again, if I was looking at a vampire army that might stand up a little bit better to something like that, like if I was going to fight the Lizardmen as the vampires, first of all, I'd be a little scared, because the Lizardmen have a lot of the things that the vampires hate, which is high armor, really good single entity monsters. So that is probably not something that the vampires really want to face. Again, I think the pick of either Strigoi Ghoul King or the Strigoi Vampire Lord is probably fine. The Vampire Lord is quite a bit more expensive, and I'm honestly not entirely sure of all the difference. Looks like he's significantly stronger in melee because of the melee attack. So he comes with a lot higher melee attack and more hit points. So, I mean, it is what it is there, I guess. But maybe it's the special abilities that set him apart too. Yeah, Ghoul King, so he can do a lot of... Yeah, he can do a lot of healing that the other one cannot, and he can get some extra armor-piercing weapon damage. But look at the spells. I think it's, yeah, this one right here, Command of the Unliving, summons a unit of Crypt Ghouls, and I think if it's Overcast, yep, it summons a Crypt Horror, which I think the regular Ghoul can do that. But still, interesting combo here. I mean, again, you could bring this Lord. I mean, I would, if I was going to bring him, I would definitely want the Summon and Invocation of Nehek. I mean, could you use Spirit Leech? But I mean, let's be honest, how much is Spirit Leech really going to accomplish against these big single entities? Is it terrible? No. Would I definitely rely on it? Yeah, probably not. I would think that if you're going to try and go up against Lizardmen, you'd want something maybe more akin to this. Have a Goon Squad for just really wrecking those single entities. And then you're going to need plenty of chaff to keep the lizards busy while you're doing that. So some skeletons, maybe some skeleton spears, bunch of zombies. Like I said, you're going to really need to pile on some chaff. Now, could you bring some cavalry into this too, just, you know, to run stuff down, or some bats, you know, just to go get into some chameleon skinks? It'd be a pain. Again, you could adjust this a little bit. Maybe you don't need 3 Terrorgeist altogether, you know, whatever it is. However you want to go at it. But, I mean, at this point, you're definitely going to be loaded against the lizards. And then Terrorgeist are a pretty tough unit. You'd have a little bit of mobility to get after stuff like chameleon skinks. You'd have the ability to keep infantry busy for quite a long time. This is a lot of hit point chaff that you'd have going. Again, you could throw in a corpse guard if you want to keep these in there longer, or, you know, a naked white king or something like that. Naked White Kings could do really good in an infantry fight. You can just do something like this. They only cost 500. So, I mean, like that right there. They'll keep your infantry in a fight and plus be fairly tough themselves, and then they actually do kill infantry. So, I don't know. I would probably throw together something, not maybe this exact thing, but something more akin to this. If I were going to be playing the vampires here, you know, again, maybe swap out the Vargeist for some cavalry on foot, and then just keep your goon squad in the air. I don't know. However you want to play it. At least this way you'd have something that can definitely snipe out those single entities that the lizards are going to throw at you, or honestly any single entity heavy army that you expect to face. Those Terrorgeist can be quite good. Actually, his Terrorgeist is not anti-large. I wonder if that's the same with both mounts. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's not anti-large, but the other 2 Terrorgeist are, but you'd still have good armor piercing damage coming off of it. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you to our... I forgot his name. I'm going to pop over and remember the name here. Thank you to Anarion for submitting the replay. Always enjoy some good shredder action. And hope to see you all soon with some more Total War Warhammer 2. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. See you then.